This home has been my sanctuary for some 4 decades now. But even with my life meticulously curated, there are still some life on life's terms challenges that pop up every now and then. Hello, my name is Griff Hubbard, and this is my Ekon Bath story. It really was through an unexpected connection via the Rotary Club of Longview. I met Neil, the proprietor. I liked Neil a lot personally, but I couldn't grasp how a bathroom remodeler could get me what I wanted.
So meeting Griff has been a very unique adventure for myself.
For some years now, I've done a railroad history podcast on YouTube. And I knew when Neil began to talk about this, he began to reference things from the middle of my podcast, not at the start and not the beginning. And I thought, this guy's impressive. He's actually listened to who I am and what I do and what my passions really are.
The only way that I was going to understand this very unique individual was by listening to his railroad podcast.
And in the 21st century, with everything high-tech and fast-paced, that's pretty darned impressive. It was really a valid selling technique. It won me over. It was at that moment I realized this is more than just a contractor. This is somebody who understands what I am trying to accomplish. But I still didn't believe I could afford it. In my mind's eye, I'm still thinking when he finishes his spiel, I'm going to have to find a friendly way to say no. And then at the very end, I presume Neil sees me thinking in that direction, maybe body language or inflection, I don't know. But he said, out of the clear blue at the end of the sales pitch, he says, what if I arrange 0% financing over a short term, 2 or 3 years? And I said, I'll tell you what I did. I looked right at him and I said, you do that and you consider it sold.
He didn't want just to be sold a walk-in shower. He wanted to be sold an experience. He wanted an experience that was going to integrate into who he was as a person. And I could tell immediately this wasn't going to be just a run-of-the-mill kind of project.
What I wanted was to transform a 1980 bathtub shower into an Art Deco Rainforest. And that's exactly what I got.
So listening to Griff's podcast, I began to understand who Griff was, the excellence that he brought to the Amtrak system. I knew that this was going to be what Griff needed for his walk-in shower.
When you walk into my home, it's an eclectic collection of the past, present, and even a smattering of the future. You never know what you're going to get when you round a corner. And I wanted the bathroom to continue the reflection of that design.
I remember something very unique. When I walked through the front door, immediately was the color of the paint on the walls, but most importantly, the floors. It was very, very unique. These are the sort of tiles that you're going to see in places that appreciate art. But not just there, he integrated them into his kitchen space, his dining space, in a way that didn't contradict what the plan is of the entire home. If you know Griff, every single room tells a different story. Every single room is a different event. And so how do we integrate floors, wall colors into a room that created a different and a new experience, but didn't look like something that was done as an afterthought without considering what is happening in the home?
Ekon Bath truly understood the vision of my home. They gave me continuity from the front door all the way through to the master bathroom. Who does that? Who would have ever thought of that? I certainly wouldn't have. Each detail that Ekon Bath was so meticulous in providing did nothing but enhance the soul of this house, because I consider this home a sanctuary, a backdrop for me.
Planning for Griff's bathroom was something that I knew that it would require an aging in space mentality. And so when I say aging in space, Griff didn't want grab bars out on display. He didn't want himself or when people come to visit to know that the space was intended for a future that required him in a wheelchair or with a walker. And so knowing that, I knew that I had to plan well in advance for the days that would require a grab bar, the days that would require some extra support for him.
Well, I wasn't sure. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how this was going to come about and what they were going to look like. And Ekon Bath told me not to worry about a thing, and all of a sudden these two massive solid glass doors appeared. But they had the wrong handles on them. The handles weren't Art Deco. And the next thing I know, those two massive, beautiful glass shower doors were hung, and they had substituted the hardware that came with them for two beautiful Art Deco handles that matched the towel rack.
Here at Ekon Bath, I just love a challenge. However, Griff was a whole different level of challenge.
It's hard to distinguish a central item that I love more than any other item. Right above the glass doors as you enter the rainforest, you know, it's just so perfect 1930s Art Deco. That cutout would be my favorite exterior thing.
The last thing that really challenged our design processes was Griff's desire to really make that walk-in shower a statement piece. When you first walk into the bathroom, the first thing that you're going to see is a beautiful archway, and not just a rounded archway. It had to nod its head to the Art Deco, the subway tile, the railroad industry. When you look at it, its sharp edges, absolutely gorgeous. Even the small details of the glass shower door handles, we had to make sure that when the door went on, the French doors went on, the door handles could not block the beautifully stunning backdrop that the walk-in shower created from the very moment that you walked in.
My favorite interior thing is to walk into a rainforest that's provided by 13 separate water outlets. There were challenges, of course. We had water issues such as hot water capacity, which was solved by Ekon Bath and their recommendations of a contractor who took care of that, as well as pressure issues to make sure, you know, I went from one shower outlet into a bathtub to 13 different outlets of different pressures. You wouldn't even think the drain is sufficient to handle water runoff. The Art Deco drain cover didn't have enough openings in it, and water was getting awfully close to the lip of the shower. Again, Ekon Bath recommended the necessary machine shop and design.
Griff is not someone that lives a lifestyle that keeps himself from the better things in life. And so integrating 13 body sprayers, 2 shower heads, the largest rain head shower that Ekon Bath has installed today is in Griff's home. We're so proud of that. He earned it. Griff has truly earned this.
You know, having lived in this home for more than 40 years, I have experience with contractors doing work over the years in the house. And one of the most remarkable and impressive things that Ekon Bath provided was daily, let me repeat that and underscore it, daily cleanup. Whatever they did in the morning and the afternoon, they took it all down and vacuumed and cleaned and dusted like they had never been there. And then the next morning came back and put it all up again. And then the same thing, the repeat process, the most remarkable thing I had ever seen in my life. There was nothing in disrepair overnight that I could not have access to or use. I'm not used to that. I'm used to being told you'll need to go over to your guest bathroom for a month. You know, that didn't take place.
And when you think of a renovation, damage, removal of items from this home, all of these things. And so we had to integrate our process that we were known for by setting up barrier walls, HEPA vacuum systems to remove dust from the air, remove odors from the air. He needed to live in the home and oversee the project in a way to team up with myself and our designer to ensure that every little detail that he saw his vision through. And so we had our pressure washer clean the entire space, his back porch, and anything that we might have gotten construction, dust, and materials on. He could live in the home, integrate his daily life into our processes without ever worrying about his health, his home, and really his day-to-day activities.
My back patio had been used as a construction setup area, for tile work, for paint mixing, for a lot of different things. And it also was put back in good repair daily. But at the end of the project, Ekon Bath actually had my back patio power washed. And I don't mean they came out here with a garden hose. I mean they hired a professional power washing company. My back patio hadn't looked that good since before the project. I mean, who does that? It is extremely impressive, the attention to detail and the concern for the homeowner. I'm just beyond impressed.
I wanted to leave his home better than what we left it. Our vision here at Ekon Bath is always this vision or better.
My home is a reflection of both Art Deco and 6 decades spent in the railroad industry by myself. You can imagine that can be complicated. A working eclectic hodgepodge of the past and the present with a little bit of the future sprinkled in. Ekon Bath nailed it. What they did was to give me the crowning achievement of my efforts in making this home different. And now my master bathroom has become the oxymoronish crowning achievement of the whole home, something that most guests will not even get to see. But I plan on dragging it back in there anyway.
Up next on episode 3.
We like blue. My husband and I both agree on that, is the color blue. It's very calming. So I chose a paint called Trade Wind by Sherwin-Williams that is a bluish gray paint. And I had used it in my entryway and in my kitchen. And I decided that I liked it so much that I was going to paint my bathroom. It turned out beautifully. I like the way that everything has come together in the master bath. It's truly a space for every season of life.